Hello, YouTube! It has been forever since I recorded one of these. Yeah, sorry about that. Just got back from BronyCon. Well, got back from BronyCon yesterday, but yeah, it's 3 in the morning. I am bored out of my mind. I have felt like doing something pony, like, ever since I got back, and I haven't really. Other than something that will be on Fanfic Stational's channel. But let's not talk about that now. Anyways, we are here for Guardians of Magic, Chapter 4, Murphy's Law. I'm not going to beat around the bush any longer. Let's get into it. Chapter 4, Murphy's Law. Pinkie Pie's party was in full swing in the ballroom of Canterlot Castle. Riku had to admit that he had been impressed when he'd first laid eyes on all the decorations that were hung from every surface within the pillared room. Crystal bowls of punch sat on a table right next to an array of delicious desserts and a gramophone. A gramophone was playing music. Pinkie had done a lot of work in a very short amount of time to get everything ready. He had been impressed by all the confetti, streamers, and balloons that were decorating the ballroom, since it had only been an hour and a half since the party pony had left their group before they departed the dungeons. Riku's attitude, however, changed to terror when Rarity told him about Pinkie Pie's party cannon. The thought of a cannon that could almost instantly decorate a room into a kid's birthday party pad was both awe-inspiring and horrifying. If she could come up with something like that when she put her mind to it, what else could the Earth Pony do? Regardless, Riku relegated himself to official wallflower, standing on his hind legs and leaning against the back of a pillar, while crossing his forehooves in front of his body, and watched the proceedings going on. He really hated being a pony right now. It ruined his pose. Sora was having a conversation with Rainbow Dash, and from what Riku was able to overhear, he was telling her more about his adventures in greater detail. Kairi and Ray had both really gotten into the swing of things, and Kairi was playing Pin the Tail on the Pony with Pinkie Pie, Fluttershy, Rarity, and Applejack, while Ray was having a ball playing with Spike and his pet phoenix hatchling, Pee-wee. Twilight Sparkle, unsurprisingly, was solemnly standing only a short distance away from Riku. She had appeared to half-heartedly take part in the celebrations for a while, but for the past 10 minutes she had been as antisocial as the entire party. And Riku had a shrewd suspicion as to why. Dropping onto all 4 hooves, he casually strolled over to the Lavender Unicorn. "Something on your mind?" he asked. Twilight glanced up at him in surprise for a moment before nodding her head. "Yes, actually," she answered. "This is all just so much to absorb. I'm some pony who's supposed to uphold the flow of all magic in existence. Not only that, but I'm supposed to be a bearer of a magical weapon that can open up any lock and unlock the power dwelling in my heart. Do you realize how crazy this all sounds?" Riku chuckled slightly. "Yeah, I do," he answered amiably. "Welcome to the madness." Twilight put her knee close to her mouth, trying to cover up her giggle. "Well, when Pinkie Pie's one of your friends, you get used to a bit of madness after a while," she said. Riku nodded. "I noticed. She really has a party cannon?" Twilight glanced at the object. "Yep, it's real. She also has this thing that she calls her Pinkie sense. Whenever her body spasms uncontrollably in a certain way, it means that something's about to happen. When her tail twitches, it means that something's going to fall. If her ears flop, eyes flare, and then knees twitch, it means to beware of opening doors. Whereas an ear flop, knee twitch, and eye flare means we're about to have a beautiful rainbow in the sky." Aha! He hoped the skepticism was beyond heavily laced. "Yeah, I thought so too," Twilight agreed. "But it's true. There's no logical way of explaining it, and I've tested and experimented on her, but whatever it is, she's got it." It's 3 in the morning. I don't know why I'm recording this, but you know what? Just continue on. Okay. She pawed at the ground with a hoof and looked at her friends partying. Riku, this guardian thing means I'll have to leave Equestria when you've taken care of the Heartless, doesn't it? He sighed a little. No sense in sugarcoating it. Yes. Will I ever be coming back? Most likely, he replied. Because in every Kingdom Hearts game you always return to a world at least once. It might take a while, but I'm sure you'll be able to if you want to. Twilight nodded her head, then turned to face Riku directly. He turned his head slightly in response, his aqua eyes meeting her violet ones. I understand that Ray had a dream that told all of you to go around gathering the Guardians of Magic. But what I don't know is why it appears to be so important. Why do you guys need me and Trixie? We've been living completely unaware of our importance to all of magic, and the ignorance hasn't bothered us before. Riku answered carefully, his voice dropping into a low register. We're not the only ones who are looking. Twilight took a step back, the severity of his voice staring her. Well, what do you mean? Well, what do you mean? I mean there's someone else out there who's looking for the keepers of the art. Twilight's eyes went back and forth as her mind apparently figured out what he meant by that. I see, she answered. So either we go into danger, or we stay here and endanger. Or we stay here and endanger ourselves and all of Equestria. He could see the way the lavender unicorn was shuddering at the thought. Riku gave her a small smile and placed a hoof on her shoulder. Don't worry, he told her kindly. You go into danger in good company. I'm not entirely sure of that yet, she answered, though he noticed that she did not take his hoof off of her shoulder. Hey, do you think you could come with me for a bit? There are a few ponies in Canterlot I want to talk with about this, and it might be helpful if one of you were there with me to answer any question. To answer any questions I can't. Damn, why am I yawning so much? Riku removed his hoof from her shoulder and nodded his head. Of course. He glanced over at the rest of the ponies. I don't think they'll really miss us much if we sneak out. Twilight shook her head, and the two unicorns quietly made their way out of the ballroom. Two unicorn royal guards stood outside the room and only watched silently as the pair made their way past them. By the way, Riku said, what was with all those cracks on the pillars in there? I thought that the ballroom of this castle would be totally pristine. To his surprise, Twilight laughed. That was all the doing of my friends back there, she explained. The Grand Galloping Gala turned out not to be what we expected at all. Gala, huh? Riku asked, turning his head to look back at the closed doors to the ballroom. Do I even want to know? Probably not, Twilight admitted. It was both the worst and best night ever. How bad could it really be? She looked at him. Riku wasn't entirely sure of what the look in her eyes was trying to convey, but he felt like there was a mix between amusement and cynicism. Fluttershy raged to the animals in the gardens. Rainbow Dash accidentally destroyed all of those pillars and a stylized statue of Princess Celestia while trying to impress the Wonderbolts. Pinkie Pie annoyed the hair out of most of the other guests while trying to get them to party because she didn't know what a high society party is like. Applejack was insulted by Prince Blueblood after he'd eaten one of her pastries because it was common carnival food, and the apple cake she then made got splattered all over a pony, and Rarity was the pony that got the cake splattered on because Prince Blueblood is a total horse and no Prince Charming. Riku couldn't help but laugh. So what about you? What happened to the intrepid Twilight Sparkle that made the night so awful? She smiled. I stayed next to Princess Celestia the whole night. We were both stuck greeting guests the entire time with no time to talk to each other. Wow, that sucks, Riku noted. That is, until we were able to escape the scene of the chaos, flee the gala, and meet up at Donut Joe's with Spike for donuts. Talking to every pony else about how awful our nights were really helped. Then Princess Celestia came to join us and told us that, in her opinion, the Grand Galloping Gala is always awful. She said that she was glad that we would be attending because she had hoped we would liven things up a bit. Riku glanced around with a smirk on his face, searching for the princess. He didn't dare say it out loud in front of the Alcorn's faithful student, but he definitely came to the conclusion that Celestia was a troll, or at the very least a lively prankster. Ha! Well, going by your description, liven things up a bit is quite the understatement. You six were sponsored party crashers. Twilight giggled. You know what? I think we were. A ballroom blitz, Riku added. I'm not really sure what you mean by that, but I guess so. Riku snorted and rolled his eyes. It's a song by a group called Sweet. You'll probably end up hearing a lot... hearing it at some point while you're with us. I shouldn't be recording this at 3 in the morning, but I am. I see, she answered. Riku contemplated countering for a moment with the correction of, you'll hear, but decided against it. The pair exited the castle's interior and came into a courtyard with a path that would lead away from the castle and into the Canterlot proper. Riku blinked a couple of times as his eyes adjusted to the mid-afternoon sun reflecting off of the many white spires and buildings of the city below the castle. Where are we going, anyway? He asked. Twilight blushed a little and looked away from him. Just my parents' house. I knew it. So I turned away from his conversation with Rainbow Dash, after having just finished instructing her on the finer points of pirate accents. Forgot about that line. To find the owner of the nearby voice. An older pony was standing nearby, and looking at them with a somewhat smug mug. His coat and horn were mauve, his mane white and gold, and sparklingly intelligent eyes were observing Sora from over a bushy white beard. Sora almost took a step back. Ponies could have beards? This world had achieved a new level of awesome to infuse its cuteness smoothie with. Yes! Sora is a brony. Yes! Knew what? He asked. Mind filling us in on who you are, old-timer? Rainbow Dash asked. We're kind of in the middle of a conversation here. The old unicorn replied, peering at Sora's side. It took the Keyblade Master a second to realize that he was looking at his cutie mark. So, he began again with surprising energy. How is that young rascal Yen Sid doing? Still getting into loads of mischief? I wouldn't be surprised. Sora felt his jaw drop rather than do it consciously. How in the... Roxas spluttered inside his mind. This guy knows Master Yen Sid? How does he... Wah? Sora questioned incoherently. His ears had to be malfunctioning, or he was having a heart attack. He wasn't sure which just yet. He thought he had just heard this unicorn call Master Yen Sid a young rascal. Sora shook his head and punched his jaw back into its proper place with a hoof. I'm sorry, there must be wax in my ears. Because I thought you said you know Master Yen Sid. The unicorn smiled mischievously at him. Of course I know him. He apprenticed under me. And now our jaws have been dislocated. Shire folk, you are an amazing writer. You need to add more to this. Because you haven't in like 2 months. Kyrie! The pink Pegasus jumped 10 feet in the air at the abruptness of Sora's shout, and the Oathkeeper appeared in her mouth reflectively. What is it, Sora? She asked when back on the floor again. Sora whirled around to face her and pointed a hoof at the elder unicorn. This pony taught Master Yen Sid. The Oathkeeper disappeared from Kyrie's mouth, and she yelped in surprise. A short gallop later, she was right beside Sora and staring at the unicorn in awe. Who are you? She asked. Coltonster, Headmaster of Celestia's School for Gifted Unicorns, he answered. Coltonster bowed in front of them, startling both Pegasi for a moment. It's a pleasure to meet you, wielders of the Keyblade. I must say, I haven't seen one of your kind since the fall of Myth Draenor. Say what? Rainbow Dash asked. You know about the Keyblade thingy these guys have? Of course, Coltonster answered. If you think I haven't seen many things in my 50 winters, then you're even younger than that filly over there. Sora and Kairi glanced at one another. Sora frowned. Did you say 50 winters? Master Yensid really looks a lot older than that. Really? I thought he would only be around 30 by now. Sora, Kairi, and Rainbow Dash all glanced at each other. Are you sure you're 50? The blue Pegasus of the trio answered. Give or take a few years, Coltonster answered. But enough about me. If you'd like to know more, just mention Shadowdale to Yensid. Now, what are your names? He asked, looking specifically at Sora and Kairi as he said it. I'm Sora, this is Kairi, and that filly over there is my little sister Ray. I take it you were all human before you arrived here, Coltonster remarked. Sora nodded the way he said made it much more a statement than a question. When he cocked his head to the side inquiringly, Coltonster continued. If you'd been something different, it's likely the Equestria itself It's very likely that Equestria itself might have allowed you to keep your form. No matter, no matter. So you're Pegasi now, How does it feel to be unable to use magic? Kairi's eyes widened. We can't use magic? Of course not. Only unicorns and alicorns can actually use magic in Equestria. The magic of Pegasi and Earth Ponies are simply inherent abilities, such as the ability of Pegasi to move clouds and create weather effects, or an Earth Pony's connection to the Earth that helps crops grow faster and ripen quicker. Quicker. Enough with the yawning. Ripen quicker. There. We can't use magic, Kairi repeated. Sora could practically feel her panic setting in as she raised a hoof in front of her face. Fire! No fireball began to crackle merrily above her hoof. Blizzard! Still nothing. Thunder! Water! Arrow! Sing now the hymn of the phoenix, the eternal fires of heaven and... Ow! Sora, what was that for? Sora snorted impatiently and lowered his hoof after whacking his girlfriend on the back of the head with it. Kairi, if not even our simplest spells are working, what makes you think that Skyfire would work? I am assuming that is a plot point from, The fic totally slipped my mind. The fic name totally slipped my mind. I will insert it here. Like, right here, because I am a dumbass and I forgot it. Because it is 3 in the morning. Okay, you know what? I'm going to come back with something, like, sugary to drink. To keep me awake. And not yawning. Be right back. Okay, I have returned with a glass of sugar-bombed orange juice. The name of the fic that Shire Folk wrote on fanfiction.net that this is based off of, Annals of Darkness, and half an awakened apartment complex from me singing Smile while sugar-bombing aforementioned orange juice. Okay then. Let's get back to this now. Okay. Kairi continued rubbing the back of her head and pouted. I'm sorry, but I was panicking. You know how much I use both magic and the Keyblade when fighting? Sora sighed. Well, at least we know this now and didn't discover it in a fight. The words had hardly left his mouth before he started wanting to kick himself. He could feel Roxas mentally doing the same. Could you be any dumber? Open mouth, insert foot. Open mouth, insert foot. Open mouth, insert foot, he grumbled to himself. A few seconds passed, and Sora looked up and around. Heartless had yet to appear. All was still well. Woohoo! And Murphy's Law has been disproven. And, Roxa sprawled in anticipation, wait for it, heartless. Sora glanced around. There was still no signs of the denizens of darkness. Huh, I guess you really did disprove Murphy's Law. Sora Nichan. He looked down at Ray as she trotted towards him. What is it, Ray? Well, do you think I could go visit Trixie? She asked. I think she might be a little lonely, being all by herself in the hospital part of the castle while the rest of us are here. Sora smiled at her and rubbed her blonde mane with a hoof. Ray shied away slightly at the gesture, but laughed through it all the same. Go ahead, he agreed. I think she might like that. Ray beamed. Thank you, Oni-chan. Rainbow Dash snorted as the filly galloped off. Obviously you don't know the great and powerful Trixie, she disagreed. I doubt she'd really be happy to see a little filly right now. You don't know that, Rainbow Dash, Kairi told the other Pegasus. Besides, wasn't she a performer? Wouldn't she like having the attention of a kid? Blah. Voice crack. Anyways, Applejack came over to their group. I don't know, Kairi, she said. Trixie wasn't too fond of Snips and Snails being her adoring fans. Coltonster began stroking his beard with a hoof. Pardon my asking, he broke in again, but what brings Keyblade wielders to Equestria? We're gathering the Guardians of Magic, Sora answered simply, but you might know them as the Keepers of the Art. Coltonster's eyes widened. The pony's face suddenly dropped into a serious expression. For what reason? His voice was flat, but his eyes burned. He advanced slowly when Sora and Kairi did not immediately answer, but his voice rose just as slowly as his steps. The tone grew out of deadpan towards borderline malice. I hope it isn't for using them in order to locate or summon powerful artifacts of magic from days long past that are better left forgotten, or to clear out the sacred halls of those long dead to plunder their secrets, or wage war on the heavens and gods themselves. Because if it is, I'll have to take measures to ensure the safety of my former student. Not once had he shouted, but Sora was almost quivering beneath those smoldering eyes, as if the old pony had been bellowing loudly enough to put him into a coma. Come on, Sora, he pep-talked himself. Pull it together. You fought Xemnas, two Titans, Cerberus, crossed blades with Sephiroth, and fought the God of the Dead. He's just a unicorn. Man up! Yeah! Suddenly he saw Coltonster as an opponent, and he dropped his face in the serious expression he unconsciously always took on whenever Heartless reared their heads. No, he declared. We're gathering them so someone else can't. And perhaps threaten the whole universe by having them all at your fingertips? Coltonster pressed. Lay off, Sora, Kairi snapped. We're getting them to prevent our enemies from doing the same. Guys who are using Heartless to get what they want. There, you happy now? Heartless? Coltonster asked. You mean the shadows? A familiar, dreadful sound entered Sora's ears, and he turned around. He flattened his ears and glared at the horrors of darkness that were now appearing in the room. Whorls of darkness, not horrors. Bah. Pinkie Pie and Spike both screamed as a soldier appeared out of one of them, clacking its iron-shod boots and helmet. More soldiers popped out of the others, and two of the Heartless were a kind they hadn't seen before. They were about twice the size of the ponies, and mostly colored black as the mantle of the night sky. Their transparent bodies had the pinpricks of shining red stars within them, and they had the bodies of bears with unicorn horns. Dark purple spines pierced their backsides from the base of their neck to their stubby tails. Eyes of malevolent yellow shone from their heads, and the Heartless emblem was emblazoned just beneath the horn. One Draco Ursa, which I assume Sheriff has decided to call these, hissed at Sora, revealing a forked tongue between rows of sharp canines. We mean these guys, Sora said. And that's the end of this chapter. I forgot this was a short one. Yes. Thanks for reading, and join me next time for Chapter 5, Chaos in Canterlot, which was actually uploaded to FIM Fiction a month and 2 days ago. So yes, Shire folk, get on updating this. Please. I love this. Plus, I don't exactly want to find another fic to read at the moment for YouTube. And just uploading sprite builds, there'd be only like 1 a month of those, which actually there's only been 1 a month of everything. This is not the time to be talking about this. Video's done. Join me next time for Chapter 5, Chaos in Canterlot. Silver Lucario. Peace.